So, my first video post of 2021. This is the first of, I'm calling it a year's worth, 365, although there's only 361 days left in 2021. Maybe I'll go over by a few days. But my first video post of 2021, it came to me just a second ago as I was putting my beautiful daughter down for her nap, Annalise. She seems like she's actually down for her nap, which is excellent. That was by no means a foregone conclusion. But I was just putting her to sleep, and she was, she's a 2-year-old, so she's going through this like testing of boundaries phase, and this kind of just all around what it means to impose her will, what it means to assert herself, what it means to get what she wants when she wants it or not. And so she had a really hard time going down, and she was kind of fighting me every step of the way, asking me to do everything twice, read the book twice, sing the song twice, stroke her back twice. Everything was like being doubled up, and it's like the stalling tactic that I honestly think would go on forever if I allowed it to. So then I finally ended up sort of at the door of the room, and I'm, singing to her, and she's freaking out. It was basically this sense of like she was not able to, I wasn't allowing her to win. I mean, I'm letting her win some, but I'm also trying to, keep a firm boundary so that she, so she knows where the boundary is in terms of like, that there's actually like, okay, now it's actually really time to go to sleep. And what I found is, she's getting worked up, and I stayed pretty centered and pretty calm, but to any extent to which I allowed myself to resonate with her energy, I sort of amplified what she was going through. And there was a moment when she stopped for a second, and I kind of just grounded, and I just was there I didn't leave, I didn't go anywhere. I just stood in the doorway with her in silence, and I allowed my own calm and my own matter-of-factness to just be in my awareness. And before you know it, she picks up the tissue. She had a tissue in her crib, and she blows her nose, and she lies down, and she's totally calm, and she says, "Papa, sing the song one more time." So we sang Twinkle Twinkle together, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star together. And then she blew me a kiss. I blew her a kiss, and I walked out of the room, and it took, this is like at the end of an hour-long throwdown. And what I realized is, this is so evident when you work with kids or when you have kids, your own emotional resonance, like what you are feeling, is 9 times out of 10 what the other person is feeling. And I think about this in terms of like how we would engage in political discourse. Like if I talk to someone whose views I find offensive, and I start getting offended, and that emotion builds in me, it's guaranteed almost that it's going to project out into them, and then they're going to feel that, and then it's going to come back at me, and it's like we're amplifying each other's indignation or rage at the opposing position. And that's obviously not functional, and it's obviously not what we want. And so I'm just clocking, having kids again is just such a great mirror for how things work in the wider world as well. And it was just kind of striking me as I walked away from the room, and as Annalise is just, silently going to sleep, just out like a light, or at least letting go and just being ready to take her nap, how much our own sort of consciousness of our internal emotional world really does affect everything around us. I suspect that all of our interactions are so largely colored by our own internal experience. Even if we don't say anything or do anything, just what's going on inside of us is being reflected in the exterior and in other people. And it's just really important to keep that in mind, I think. As we enter 2021, we have this hyper-polarized country. We have all these, a global crisis, and then a whole bunch of other crises that are, maybe not global, but also some of them are global. Climate change is certainly global. To just remember where we are in ourselves and what our true center is determines what we're seeing, and it affects what we're seeing. And if what we want to create is a brighter picture, a gentler picture, less polarization, less fear, less anger, less violence, more peace, more cooperation, more insight and mutual understanding, then we have to come from there. We have to come from that place. And having a reflection like a small child is just is like the best. It's such an immediate and such a responsive mirror. They're just so tuned into you that the slightest little shift in the parent has a big effect, which you can then see if you're looking for it. So that's kind of my post for the day. I think is just reflecting on the idea that our own internal experience is reflecting reflecting our external experience, and is also in a lot of ways producing our external experience, and that a truly deeply caring and compassionate relationship to the world and everyone in it involves that truly compassionate internal willingness to give ourselves that moment of peace, or of silence, or of grounding, or of witnessing that we might need to. So post number 1 for 2021.